I am done with plastic surgeries now.
What happens when beauty turns into a trap? For years, these faces lit up red carpets, magazine covers, and TV screens. They were icons, flawless, envied, unforgettable. But behind the perfect smiles, some of them were fighting a quiet, desperate battle to freeze time itself. And in that fight, a few went further than anyone ever expected. The results? Shocking transformations that stunned the world and changed their lives forever. You won't believe who's on this list, or how far they went to hold on to youth. Julia Tarasevich, the beauty queen's nightmare. She thought a simple touch-up would bring back her glow. It nearly took away her life. Julia Tarasevich was once celebrated as a Russian beauty queen, admired for her elegant features and timeless charm. But at 43, she decided to undergo what she thought would be a simple cosmetic procedure: a facelift, eyelid surgery, and minor liposuction. Instead of rejuvenation, Julia woke up to a nightmare. Her face was swollen, scarred, and she was left with a painful, shocking side effect. She could no longer fully close her eyes. Her legal battle became national news. Julia accused the surgeons of gross negligence. They in turn blamed an alleged autoimmune disease she denies ever having. Years later, the scars, both physical and emotional, remain. A woman who once inspired millions is now fighting for basic comfort and dignity. And she wasn't the only one who trusted the wrong hands. What she thought was a fix became a lifelong scar. Lin May was the face of Mexico's golden era of entertainment, adored for her beauty, grace, and stage presence. But the fear of aging pushed her to seek help for a facial asymmetry that had always troubled her. A supposed practitioner promised a quick fix. But instead of medical-grade filler, they injected baby oil into her cheeks, a substance never meant for the human body. The aftermath was devastating: painful infections, disfigurement, and years of humiliation in the tabloids. But Len didn't disappear. She spoke out, bravely warning others of the dangers of unqualified hands. And while her face changed forever, her voice became louder than ever. But some transformations didn't happen overnight. They crept in, one injection at a time. Michela Romanini's story began not with the disaster, but with the choice. The Italian socialite was known for her glamour and beauty. But in her quest to stay young, collagen injections became a habit. Then, an obsession. Over the years, subtle enhancements snowballed into dramatic change. Her lips swelled to unnatural proportions, her facial structure altered, and soon, even close friends struggled to recognize her. The media was cruel. Her image became a cautionary tale, unlike a single botched surgery. Michela's transformation happened in slow motion, a reminder that even small choices, repeated again and again, can rewrite a face. And sometimes even your reflection becomes a stranger? Carol Bryan, when fillers turned fatal, Carol Bryan didn't want to look younger. She just wanted to feel like herself. At 47, she agreed to what she thought was a standard filler procedure. Instead, she was injected with a dangerous combination, including silicone not approved for facial use. At first, nothing seemed wrong, but then came the swelling, the hardening, the pain. Within weeks, her face was unrecognizable. Surgeons tried to fix the damage, but the procedure cost her something no one could replace: the sight in one eye. For years, Carol hid from the world. But eventually she came forward, not as a victim, but as a voice. Her story is proof that even a simple injection can carry irreversible consequences. Tara Jane McConaughey, the Barbie obsession. For Tara Jane McConaughey, beauty isn't about fixing flaws, it's about constant reinvention. Over the years, the Melbourne native has spent hundreds of thousands on cosmetic surgeries, 5 breast augmentations, multiple rhinoplasties, countless Botox and filler sessions. She's been called the real-life Barbie, a living symbol of modern extremes. Even as doctors warn her about health risks, Tara pushes forward. For her, beauty is a canvas that's never truly finished. Her story isn't a cautionary tale of disaster, but of obsession. A reflection of a culture where perfection keeps moving further out of reach. Pete Burns, the endless makeover. Pete Burns didn't just transform his appearance, he transformed what it meant to be seen. The Dead or Alive frontman underwent nearly 300 cosmetic procedures over his lifetime. It started with a nose job. It ended with full facial reconstruction. The world watched as his face became a symbol of relentless reinvention. But behind the makeup, the surgeries, the headlines, was a man searching for identity and control in a world that constantly judged him. Pete passed away at 57, but his story lives on as a haunting reminder. Sometimes the mirror can be louder than the music. Dennis Avner's Stalking Cat. Transformation beyond beauty. Some chase youth, others chase perfection. But Dennis Avner chased something far more radical. He wanted to leave humanity behind. Known as Stalking Cat, Dennis didn't want to look younger. He wanted to become his spirit animal, a tiger. Over the years, he underwent extreme body modifications, feline tattoos, subdermal implants, a split lip, reshaped ears, and even a mechanical tail. To some, it was shocking. To him, it was truth. He lived as a symbol of transformation without limits, but also of deep isolation. His story forces us to ask a difficult question. How far is too far? When does transformation stop being about appearance and start rewriting identity? Jessica Alves. It was she who didn't just want to look different, but she wanted to become the person she saw in her dreams. Known to the world as the human Ken doll before her transition, Jessica spent years turning her body into a living sculpture. Every surgery felt like a step closer to perfection, but the finish line kept moving. She underwent more than 100 procedures, nose jobs, jaw contouring, cheekbone enhancements, chin reshaping, breast augmentations, liposuction, implants, even having ribs removed to narrow her waist. Doctors warned her repeatedly that another nose surgery could collapse the structure entirely. But the mirror never said enough, and neither did the cameras. Tabloids turned her body into a headline following every change like it was a spectacle. But beneath that spectacle was a person fighting a lifelong war with body image, identity, and the crushing pressure of being on display. When Jessica came out as a trans woman, she revealed that her early surgeries weren't just about appearance, they were about survival. Trying to make the outside match the inside. But the price was high. Complications, emotional pain, and an endless cycle of fixing what was never broken in the first place. Her story isn't just about transformation. It's about the danger of never feeling finished. And it leaves a question that lingers long after the headlines fade. When the mirror becomes your entire world, how do you know when to stop? Raja Naranazing. She knows the dark side of that question better than most. In Miami, years before she became a public figure, Raji longed to soften her features to feel more like herself. But real cosmetic procedures were far out of reach. So she trusted someone she thought was a doctor. What she got instead was a nightmare. Instead of medical fillers, she was injected with cement, tire sealant, and mineral oil, substances never meant for human bodies. The damage came slowly, like a trap she couldn't escape. Painful swelling, hardening of the skin, and eventually a face she could barely recognize. She hid from the world, using makeup and wigs to cover what couldn't be undone. But the real pain wasn't just physical, it was emotional. She once said it felt like living inside a mask she never chose. Years later, surgeons removed what they could, giving her some of her face back. But the scars told a story no surgery could erase. Raji turned her pain into a warning, speaking out so others wouldn't walk the same dangerous path. Her courage exposed a truth many ignore. When beauty becomes a shortcut, the cost can last a lifetime. Toby Sheldon. And then there was Toby Sheldon, a man whose dream wasn't to look younger, but to look like someone else entirely. Fascinated by pop star Justin Bieber's boyish face, Toby poured more than $100,000 into becoming a living copy. Hair transplants, chin reshaping, lip lifts, eyelid surgeries, multiple nose jobs, each step was meant to erase himself and replace it with someone else's reflection. At first, people watched out of curiosity. Then came the mockery. Tabloids had a field day, turning a man's private pain into entertainment. What the world didn't see was the loneliness underneath it all. Toby's life became surgeries, recovery rooms, and a desperate chase for approval he could never quite catch. His obsession wasn't about vanity, it was about belonging, about trying to fix something inside by changing everything outside. His story is haunting because it shows how obsession can devour identity. It's not just the cost of surgery, It's the cost of losing yourself in the process, and when that mirror reflects someone else's face, what's left of yours? From beauty queens to entertainers, from singers to icons who push the limits of identity, each story shares one unshakable truth. The mirror can be both a friend and a merciless enemy. Some of these journeys began with a single decision, others stretched across decades, but all of them reflect the same pressure: a world terrified of aging, desperate for perfection. Before you place your trust or your face in someone's hands, ask the hard questions, because beauty can fade, but regret can last a lifetime. Which of these stories shocked you the most? Tell us in the comments. And if you believe these stories matter, hit like, share, and subscribe. Because sometimes the most powerful transformations aren't the ones we make, but the ones we choose not to.